Warning. Warning. Warning.
Okay, brothers and sisters and misses and misters, here's your daddy-o with the sounds to go. No shucking, no jive, and I'm telling you, your music's arriving.
Hey, 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 I'm Largo. This is The Lair, and tonight's show is brought to you by Gallo Cerveza, Lando approved. I hope you're having a better day than I am, but happy Cinco de Mayo. Oh, wait, that's tomorrow. Screw it. May the 4th. Let's try that. And to help me celebrate, Will's here. Hey, Will. And he's muted.
Surprise! A Jedi never is muted or unmuted. He just talks and is heard when he wants to be heard.
That's deep, man. That's very deep.
By my good friend Jawa.
Indeed. Well, happy May the 4th to you.
Yes.
Oh, that feels good. High quality liqueur.
Yeah, H2O.
Oh, that'll work.
With other ingredients.
And stuff. We like stuff in our beverage.
Yeah.
Speaking of tasty beverages, a friend of mine who enjoys a tasty beverage now and then is going to be joining us tonight. Let's introduce him, shall we? Let's see if I can find the... Oh, there it is.
All right.
Hola, mi amigo.
Cheers. I don't know how you got that footage of me going to the bathroom in the middle of the night, but that was pretty good.
You didn't even stub your toe. I'm impressed.
Although that sometimes happens now. We have a dog gate on the bedroom door so that we can control when she can get in and out of there. But it is not, shall we say, grindhead sized. I have to go sideways and to get through it. I should have turned that into I have a huge cock joke, but I didn't. That was a fail for me. I apologize.
It's quite all right. There will be plenty of opportunities later in the show, I'm sure. Well, let's catch up with the chat real quick. We got Bjorn here saying "Shamalanga Ding Dong." Good to see you. We got hey, Wilhelm Toy and Hobbies here. That's cool.
Yeah,
I know that guy.
Rolando
Flores.
Hey, Rolando, how are you, buddy?
Good to see you. Oh, I know that
Lauren.
gal. Hey,
I love
happy
that.
Yeah, I've heard of her.
Cool.
I've never seen it blown up like that. It's so great.
Mr.
Jason.
Garcia, good to see you. May the Schwartz be with you.
Adorable. Let us pray.
Indeed. And from the other side of the pond, our good
Keith,
friend,
how are you,
Mr.
buddy?
Keith Knight. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Keith.
Go G-Tron. Live long and
Indeed.
prosper.
Exactly. So rather than focus on all the Star Wars things that have gone horribly, horribly wrong in the last few decades, we'll try to pick on some of the. I got a spit take out of Grindhead Jim. We got that on film. Nice. Let's focus on some of the things they've done right. We are going to go over a few things tonight that we enjoy and have enjoyed from the intellectual property that is Star Wars. Not necessarily the major motion pictures, but some of the other stuff. So let's start with a few of the more benign.
Pew,
Some
pew.
Star Wars. Pew, 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 pew. Guess what day it is? Let's hit some memes.
Nice.
That's great.
Now the question is, in that suit, if you do pull his finger, I mean, the back blast has got to be pretty rough because it's pretty hermetically sealed in there.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
God. Yeah. The filtration just.
Oh, no wonder he's grumpy all the time.
Yeah, right.
One of my favorites. What's for dinner, Dad?
It's a little
Wookiee
chewy.
steak. Boom,
Oh,
boom.
man.
We got dad jokes tonight, kids.
I love it.
And this little guy, what a dirty bastard. Every line he ever said was beeped. Beeped right out.
Mm-hmm.
He's salty.
It's true.
And of course, everyone that's ever seen the first film, you watch it
Yeah.
and then you look back at it, it's like, this is the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy. Yeah, you look right, point it in your face.
Just punch a hole right through his head.
That's just proof that Luke Skywalker is American.
Indeed. He was definitely not ready to be a Jedi yet.
Mm-mm.
And this guy, I feel so bad for him.
Those were the droids I was looking for. God
He gets
damn.
home, he gets a really bad report at work. His wife's yelling at him. Dinner's cold. And then he realizes, yep, those were the droids I was looking for. One of my favorite scenes in the first movie was Han trying to play it cool on the console.
Everything
And-
situation normal.
We're fine. How are you?
Yeah. How are you?
We're all fine. We're all here fine now. Thank you.
No.
How are you? And then he immediately winces. How are you? Shit. Who is this? What's your opportunity?
Looking for love in all the
All
wrong
the
places.
wrong places.
Hilarious.
Ah, yes. Sometimes ignorance is bliss because they didn't know.
Really is.
Oh, I tell you. For my lunch today to celebrate the day, I watched the movie Fanboys, and one of the characters actually uses that line, and he picks up on some escorts. He's like, "You looking for love in all the wrong places?" And they're like, "What?"
What?
Well, and you see, it's the thing. It was funny.
And I told you he was a bastard. He
Yeah.
knew who Luke's father was the whole time, and he never said a word. What's up with that?
Wasn't his memory erased though? Oh wait, no, it was
No.
C-3PO. No, C-3PO.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yep. Never mind.
He was one of the few that didn't get a memory erasure, so no excuse. Plot hole. And what is the interior temperature of a tauntaun?
Jesus.
It's lukewarm. Boom, boom.
Uh,
And I thought they smelled bad on the outside. He is the most lethal bounty hunter in the galaxy, and he gets knocked into a Sarlacc pit by a blind man with a boat paddle.
beer's hitting.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely preferred Boba in Empire when he was the mysterious badass, because in Jedi, the few bits we got of him is like, what just happened? He was supposed to be a badass, and he just got wah, wah. Oh, well.
It was funny though.
It was. And this one, I had to think about it for a moment. The moment you realize the last person your girlfriend kissed was Jabba the Hutt. Jabba no Bada. Indeed.
Jabba no floss.
Yes. And there's no mouthwash in space.
No.
And of course, my favorite from the prequels.
Yep. I love this scene in the prequels was perfect.
Yes. Absolutely.
And then, of course, the worst Sith in the universe, Grumpy Cat.
Yes.
But of course, to me, when
Of
you say May the
course.
4th, I'm thinking about the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker. So May the 4th be with you.
Nice.
Dirty Hoovians.
That's excellent.
Dirty.
So, cheers. I just thought a
Very
moment
good.
of levity wouldn't hurt.
Excellent.
Oh, so how many groans did we get in the chat over that one?
Mm.
Probably a couple.
No, I think they liked them. Let's see.
Yep. Booberfett. There he goes. Booberfett.
Gooberfit.
Or Bubba Fat, as he was in that
Yeah.
Disney Plus show.
Or depending on how you felt about the way he died, Gomer Fett.
Yeah. R2D2 had the most foul mouth ever in all the movies. He bleeped out every word he said. Exactly.
He did.
Tough stuff. Eldor's in the house. Good evening, chaps. Good to see you. Oh, boy. And what else we got going on here? That is about it at the moment. Well, it feels like a Monday. I think I've had a week of Mondays, but I did get a few things done this week. Had some fun.
Yeah.
Got deep into some new rabbit holes in my collecting community stuff, as you guys are aware.
Seems
But,
like quite an adventure you're going on, and
Indeed.
you know, I'm looking forward to it. It's really interesting stuff. So I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to seeing how it pans out.
So far, it's been fun. Any new ventures in your neck of the woods there, Grindhead? I know you've been kind of looking through a lot of clutter and boxes to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. Like off camera to my immediate left, there's a stack of boxed toys that were in a bin because I was clearing a bin for use of moving, and that pile just keeps growing. There's a box behind me from Big Bad that arrived. That was my housewarming gift to myself. I am not allowing myself to open it until I get the shelves up. We got so much freaking furniture to build, so that's been my main thing.
I was gonna say, is that like buying yourself a Christmas present and then putting it under the tree and pretending to be surprised when you open it, or?
Yeah, and the thing is, in the time it took that box to get here and for us to finish the move-in portion of things, my pile of loot already has a shipment worthy amount of crap in it, mostly Marvel Legends figures, and it's like, it's more stuff, right? But you know, everything I'm going through, if I do go through, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot I had that, and things like that. And I keep seeing stuff and realizing, oh my god, I don't think I have enough room for all this stuff. But I keep reminding myself that so much of it, like at least 40% of it, is still in the package. And if that's the case, then a lot of that stuff's going to be fine. I can store the packages and whatever, and it should be okay. Fingers crossed. But I will repeat something I said on my show on Monday. A lot of people in chat know that I collect superpowers. I placed a bid on a mint in opened box Justice Jogger from Superpowers.
You did not.
I did. It was a good price. I got outbid today, and I'm like, ooh, it's still a pretty good price for it. I'll put it this way. The current bid is still less than what I sometimes see loose complete ones go for. And I'm
my loathing for the Justice Jogger is only slightly out-edged by my loathing for Funko Pops.
I mean,
there is no such thing as a good price on a Justice Jogger.
If you win the bids, do you win anything at all? Do you really?
Well, here's the thing. Well, you know what they say. Keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer. That's kind of where this Justice Jogger thing is going. I have nothing but contempt for that idea. Had they marketed that with any other character, I probably would be a lot less, contemptuous of it. But it is what it is, and it's one of these things that, people that are in the know, like they Gojatron especially is like, hey, you're gonna get one, you're gonna get it, you're gonna get it. And that, for those that don't know, Lauren is my fiance, and she's like, "You better get it." I'm like, "No, baby. When I explain to you what this is and how much it costs, you're gonna go like, do we need that though? Because it's way more expensive than it should be. This is not a I'll just throw a couple bucks at this. That's not one of these things at all, and it's really something that I just do not like. The Flash is just a shocker. There you go.
I was gonna say the current movie version, maybe, but not the real one from the comic books. Yeah, it's basically it's like a Barca lounger with legs.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's like a mini chicken walker. It's really...
That's how she is, though, right?
She's subtle.
You know, she's kind of the opposite of my mother when I was in a grocery store. I'd be like, "Can we get that?" No. And now when I'm looking at something, I'll be like, "That's kind of cool." She said, "Do you want it?" I'm like, "Hang on, I just said it's kind of cool." So there's no, which is very cool. Like, I appreciate it. I love her to death, and it's one of the coolest things about her personality. Like, she doesn't want either of us to want for anything. But the Justice Jogger, it's a piece of just crap. It's pretty awful. And
well, indeed,
if you see an opportunity and it's a good price and you get it and that's what you want, then you do it.
So I'll make a pledge right now. I have a number in my head, and if I can do a snipe and keep it under that price with shipping, I'll do it. And then I'll explain to her why it was such a waste of money when it arrives.
Plus 1 penny. Add a penny just in case the other person is thinking the exact amount.
What I've learned to do is I take a date, a specific date, and add a penny to that. So let's say it was the 15th as an example. I would say 16. That's how I do it. Yeah. Because the penny thing, people catch on to that crap. So, and then the thing is, if it's something like I kind of want, I do that. If I really want it, I add $1 plus the date plus a penny to the bid. That's how you do it.
Very tricksy.
There is a certain type of kryptonite that makes Superman lethargic, hence the Justice Jogger. You know what? That's probably the best justification I have heard yet. Lazy kryptonite.
Why else would he need to ride a mechanical emu that he's looking straight up out of the thing with? Has no weapons on it either. There's no weapons on it, and the only thing it armors is his face, but it leaves his neck wide open. It's horrible. Currently watching Return of the Jedi. Nice. We just watched Return of the Jedi. We were watching it Saturday. And then we got like halfway through it. And then Sunday, we went in the living room and finally built our TV stand and put the TV up. And then we watched it in 4K on the rest of it on the TV.
Now, see, I'm with Melvor. The Penguin, he's got to waddle around. He could get the Injustice Jogger. You know what? That makes sense. Make it a villain vehicle. Okay, I can dig that.
Okay, so I will make that happen if I can find an incomplete one for like less than $40. If I can, and I'll just repaint that sucker black with purple legs and shit.
Put a big umbrella on it.
Hell yeah, you can. I have extra umbrella parts for the figure anyway, so it's fine. Because I have 2 or 3 penguins in various states of repair. So I could piece together some stuff, and I could just have a penguin permanently perched on his Injustice Jogger. We could do that. So.
Oh no!
Oh yeah,
no.
I was
Jim,
ranting.
When I brought this up, and you found the video clip. Do you remember that?
So I have this TV we bought. I went specifically after this one because it has the possibility of hooking AV into it, and I have a really good functioning VCR, and I also have the original versions of Star Wars and Return of the Jedi and Empire on VHS. I'm gonna watch those when I get that VCR out. Injustice Jogger leads for the insecurity. Yeah,
indeed.
I was bringing up that scene one night on a hangout, and then within minutes, Jim has a full digital version. He made a loop up, and he brings it up full screen, and we got the and he's the spit flying out of his mouth, the CGI spit. Oh my god, so fun,
so bad,
hilarious.
It's a horrible thing.
Well, speaking of things that don't suck, let's check out a few things that we do actually like from the Star Wars universe. back in the
Yeah,
day.
we were gonna just talk about things we liked, and then we decided, you know what? We all love the games. Games are great, and in my opinion, some of the Star Wars games have stories and uh, Star Wars immersion better than any of the movies did.
I agree.
Yep.
But there was one. Uh, Largan and I were having a conversation, and there was one portion of the Star Wars, cinematic or TV in this case, universe that doesn't get, for me, enough love. People don't talk about it. It's like the really good things people kind of don't talk about all the time. It's like when they really hate something, though, they really talk about it a lot. If you look on YouTube, there's probably a million videos for, the crappy parts, but there's some good stuff. But first, let's take a look at an often overlooked animated classic, and that is the Star Wars Clone Wars animated series on Cartoon Network.
I thought for a second you were going to bring up that clip from the Christmas special, and I was going to.
No.
Pummel you.
This to me was so refreshing. I don't know. I loved it. I tuned in. I even sat there and programmed my DVR at the time, because remember that time if you were super cool with DVR, because they were 2-minute shorts that happened in between episodes of your regular cartoons. It wasn't until later that they packaged it up. So, it was set in the Star Wars universe between the Star Wars prequel trilogy films, Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. It's among the first of many works to explore the conflict known as the Clone Wars. The show follows the actions of various prequel trilogy characters, notably Jedi and clone troopers, and their war against the droid armies of the Confederacy of Independent Systems and the Sith. And I thought this show nailed it.
Yeah.
The guys from Samurai Jack did that, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were talking about that. It's like, I love the animation style. It's cool. A lot of it didn't need dialogue. It was all the action told the story. I love Samurai Jack, and I definitely saw the parallels with this. And I think it was a far superior show to the computer-generated Clone Wars that came out later. Not that was bad. This was just better, in my opinion.
Hey, and you're entitled to that opinion. What I loved about it was this was new. For the first time, I was seeing something like I've never seen Star Wars in this style. Huge fan of Samurai Jack, obviously. So, the pacing, the visual storytelling, the way that he does everything really clicked with me. But, it was 3 seasons consisting of 25 episodes, all together from November 7th, 2003 to March 25th, 2005. It was the first Star Wars television series since Ewoks. Clone Wars was produced in episodes ranging from 2 to 3 minutes in the first 2 seasons, while the third season consisted of 5 12-minute episodes. So they kind of got rid of that.
Bjorn with the
Mace
factoids.
Windu, man. Oh my!
I did not know. Same fellow worked on Hotel Transylvania.
Oh, is that right? And also Dexter's Lab, I believe he was responsible for. That's
another fun one.
I think he also did that. But yeah,
Didi, you can't come into my lab.
yeah.
Well, three out of 4 ain't bad. Hotel Transylvania is a hotel travesty.
Oh, I've never seen it. I've never seen it.
I like it.
But yeah, I mean, his takes on all these characters and the way he portrayed them. It also had really good voice acting. I thought all the voice actors did a great job.
Yeah. Primal, Gojitron brings that one up too. That is chef's kiss. Really good.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. He is a master of visual storytelling.
Absolutely.
And to be fair, like George Kennedy, the guy that did I might have got his name wrong. The guy that did Mad Max, Road Warrior, Beyond Thunderdome, and Fury Road also did frickin' Happy Feet. Okay. So I'm not talking trash. Like everyone puts out stuff that's subpar. I mean, I've done it, so it's okay.
Well, I think it was Primus that said they can't all be zingers.
That's true. And, they're right, for sure.
And it even had Yoda riding a weird goat creature, which...
a Jedi jogger, if you will.
Yeah. This was the
Now, Yoda could use a Jedi jogger because it was little legs, but I don't get blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and while we're on this screenshot, they just released the pre-orders for 8 Yoda-sized Yoda lightsaber replica,
Yeah.
1-to-1 scale. Who is that for? Is it meant for like small children because of their size? Is it meant for little people? Are they being discriminatory, or do they actually think there are a bunch of Yoda-sized people running around going, "I want that"?
I think they
realize
just
it's to hang
think
on your
nerds are
wall.
going to put it on a shelf or hang it on a wall. And
Sure,
yeah.
but at that, as my good friend Mark Greenway once said, yeah, not on that fucking price.
True. But yeah. So the show's available to stream on Disney Plus. I pretty much seems like everyone loves it, and they do. I just don't hear or see many shows bringing it up or celebrating it. And if there's one thing Star Wars I'd like to, shine a light on, it's this series, which you could probably get through in, well, it's only 3 seasons. You could probably watch it all in a day, but it's just
Yeah.
really good.
And it was done in those little episodes, similar like we did what they did with GI Joe Resolute, where it was just real quick episodes in here and there, and then they put it all together as one presentation later.
Look at that showdown
so
with
good.
Grievous and Mundi or whatever his name is. Loved it, just loved it. As he's hunting down the Jedi, and here's our noble. You don't see him go down, but unfortunately, it's got a bad spoiler.
Yeah.
End well.
What?
Well, it's one of the first times we actually got to see Jedi in their prime done well, and not just a doddering old man swinging a lightsaber a little bit now and then.
So yeah, the action-packed pace, the visual storytelling, the animation style, and the being brave enough to do something different. You know what I mean? He did it in his style. So he's like, yeah, I'll make these cartoons for you, Mr. Lucas, but I'm doing it my way. And I think the results are just perfect.
Hey,
Gap, how are
Gap
you?
After Dark. Good to see you.
And then we get into the Star Wars video games. And, just to reiterate, I think Star Wars, the first movies, I always like the idea of Star Wars, or the universe in my imagination always exceeded the material being provided, with the exception of some of the video games, which I thought were really great. The toys were fun. A lot of us made our own storylines. We didn't just, no one was taking their Luke and Leia and making them kiss and then go, oh no, my bad. They were just doing their own little adventures. You don't have to follow the movies, to have a
back
good time.
in 78, 79, I was getting some of the toys, and I hadn't seen the film yet, so I didn't have context. I had like the book on tape, or I think I had the cassette tape with the first Star Wars story in it, and so that was all I had to go on. And so often my Adventure People, the few Star Wars guys I had, and Black Hole and whatever other small scale guys, they all just kind of went together.
The lizard, the Sleestack looking guy. He's like a bounty hunter. What's his name?
Oh, Bosk.
Bosk. Yeah, Bosk. He looked so cool that he was like always like the main baddie. I never knew that he only appears like in a background
for a
scene.
split second.
Yeah, split second. I thought he was like a main bad guy of Star Wars, and then I was going to see him tearing shit up, and it never happened.
He got more love in the comic books. Fun fact about Bosk, as a Whovian, the uniform he wore was a leftover from a Doctor Who episode.
Oh, that's cool as shit. Yeah, I like that.
I had him as a Kenner 3 3/4 inch scale action figure as a kid, and I keep thinking about getting him in Black Series, but that cool. It would lead down this path of getting all the bounty hunters, and I'm like, nope, Boba has to be enough.
Do it.
I like Bosk. I mean, if Bosk was your only bounty hunter, that would be pretty cool, because he's one of the lizard people.
And I have Boba Fett in both scales, and Bosk is the character in Star Wars looks the most like Godzilla, so it's a no-brainer.
Oh, yeah. I love Empire Boba. He was bad.
Oh yeah,
bad to the bone.
So we got our favorite video games we want to talk about, because like I said, I think they're better than all the movies put together. Some of the video game storylines to me are just the best. So over 100 video games have been based on the Star Wars franchise.
That's right.
And
everybody needs a little Slee Stack love.
Oh yeah,
Goji, we should do a BCs and Baddies on the Slee Stack. That would be fun.
Yeah. He was like, my brother used to like chase me around and be a Slee Stack, because we catch his.
The word Slee Stack sounds like a mishap during a barbecue. Like, oh no, they feed it all the road to a Slee Stack.
Boom, boom. World Made of Cardboard says, I love Bosk so much that I made him a rebel. He was Luke's wingman. Nice.
That's awesome. And he can be. And there's a video game with a, what are they called? What is their race? It's Rodanian or Rodanian? I don't know. Maybe someone correct me.
Bosk people.
Anyway, we've got over 100, and we're going to go through every single video game ever made. No.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm going to go get some more beer.
We just picked our favorites, starting with Mr. Grindhead Jim. We had a brief conversation, and he talked about some of his favorites. Master Versal Toy Hunter likes N64. What did he say? N64.
Rogue Squadron was good.
Oh, yeah. Rogue Squadron was fantastic as well. Yeah.
The Star Wars Squadrons. Yeah, good stuff.
All great games. And a point I'm going to bring up when we kind of compare and contrast our video game favorites, they all offer something different, a different kind of play experience, which is just one thing that the Star Wars universe does very well that, not every other franchise does. So,
they are the Trandosian.
Oh. I said something stupid. Okay, thank you.
Now we know. Knowing is half the battle.
And hey, Sergeant Slaughterhouse, Zazel in the house. So
where is he? There he is.
Mr. Grindhead Jim said we couldn't do this list without mentioning this. Jim, what is it?
Oh,
this is the OG vector-based graphics Star Wars arcade games. One of the first flying games I ever played. I fell in love with it in the arcade. Later, it came out on Atari and ColecoVision. I got the ColecoVision version, which is near pixel perfect. And you're flying the X-Wing through the trenches. You're flying through a bunch of turrets. And it's not an easy game to play. But not at all. It's easy to pick up, hard to master. And probably one of the best games that exists in the Star Wars franchise, and it was the first. So definitely well worth it. Cool. It was just immersive, and I still play it to this day.
Yeah, I remember when this first started showing up at the bowling alley where my folks used to go. It's like they would go bowling, I would go hit the little corner arcade next to the snack shop, and when Star Wars, this vector game came, it's like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to play it, but it's cool to look at.
I don't have great memories of it like in the arcade, but I do have one story of trying it in my adulthood. But go ahead, Jim. You were going to say something.
Yeah. When it was announced that it was going to be coming to home consoles, pre-orders weren't really a thing at the time. Yeah. But I remember really anticipating this game like it was the second coming of Christ to come and have this come home. It was one of the first video games that was like that. It was like that and the Spider-Man game that came out for the Atari. Those two games were really on my radar. And I remember distinctly getting it. I remember putting it in the console and just zoning out for 2 hours. And my dad even played it for a while. And it was like a whole family was like, this is great. My dad's like, think of all the quarters we've saved by buying this for him.
Yeah, of course you did. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, it's really easy to just eat it in this game, right?
Yeah. If you don't know what you're doing.
What happened to me. So I worked for GameStop for a while, and they used to do these yearly manager meetings where they fly us all out to Texas, to their headquarters, and all the game manufacturers would come and bring cool games, and there'd be these after parties and stuff. One of the only companies I ever went to that got me loaded because they had just free beer at these events afterwards. One of the game companies brought a rig. They built a cockpit with monitors in it, and they had this game running on it, but the line was so long to try it out because obviously everyone wanted to try it out. There's 1,500 managers there from all across the country. So I get in it. I strap in. I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome. Died, and they're like, all right, out of the machine.
Now there was a cockpit based arcade game. I don't think it was the vector one though. It was a little bit different. Do you remember which one that was?
I thought they made this in both versions.
They did.
might
I
have.
wasn't sure. They had like
They
a
did.
sit down and the stand up version.
But you might be thinking of the Star Wars, the arcade game that came out in the mid to late 90s,
Oh,
Yeah.
where you started off in the snow speeder mission on Hoth, and for a lot of people that weren't in the know, they'd play that game, and then they heard about Shadows of the Empire having that as the opening thing, and they think it's the same game. It was
yeah.
just a retitle, and it's not. They're totally different games.
So here's just a couple of cool examples of the state of the art graphics, which actually for the time were fantastic.
They were
Really
really
good.
good. This and Tron were probably some of the coolest for their time when they 1st came out.
Yep. Wonderful.
For sure.
And then, Mr. Grindhead, you told me you liked this game.
Yeah. Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, polarizing film for a lot of people, certainly some hokey stuff in it. But the video game that was based on it was really well done. They actually had the ability to you go through all the force powers worked really well. It was a hack and slash kind of game, single player, but you had role play elements as you leveled up your force powers and everything. But one of the coolest things about it, once you got through the whole game, you unlocked all of these characters in the background, and it also had, just as a kind of an addendum, because your boss fights were like your character suddenly became half the screen size and you're doing lightsaber duels. Well, they made a mode where you could just do one-on-one fighting game, Jedi versus Jedi. And you can unlock characters from across all the different versions of Star Wars. So you could have like Darth Vader versus Anakin Skywalker and stuff like that. It's a really... And it gets overlooked a lot. And it's not an expensive game to get.
No.
It is well worth it to pop into your 360 or your original Xbox. An original Xbox will run you about $30. And this game will run you maybe 10. It is worth $40 to play this thing. It is such a good...
never played this one, and now that you talked about it, I think I want to check it out.
Definitely.
In my opinion, if they had taken the plot of episode 3 and just made a trilogy of that instead of trying to cram it all into one 2-hour film, that would have been a better trilogy, because there was so much to unpack in what was going on in those final moments of the Clone Wars. It had some great moments. It felt rushed. It could have been better.
And you'll be happy to know that this game lasts a hell of a lot longer than 2 hours.
Well,
so you kind of get that stretch out. You get to kind of take it in.
Thank you.
And if this was kind of the predecessor to that type of gameplay and the features that you just described, then no, this is the opposite. Because this is yet another way to enjoy the Star Wars universe in a completely different way. So another awesome.
Oh yeah.
What do you love about this one, Jim?
OG Battlefront was just a masterstroke. It was everything that they promised it would be and delivered on all fronts. Sound effects, super immersive. You're basically, it's like they're taking the game Battlefield in a way, and they're making it into a Star Wars game. And they would do a campaign in the second one where you would go from planet to planet and kind of guide you through it. You could be the Rebels, you could be the Empire, you could be in and out of vehicles, you could pick different characters. And, if you just wanted to be on the ground and do the first-person shooter thing in that kind of a vibe, you got to do that. And
I got to take a moment and answer a question from the chat. A World Made of Cardboard. Of course, Eduardo enjoys Frogger because it's the most like playing chicken in traffic.
It's fair. But I remember I got this on release day. We were really excited for it. And we played it. And then the second one that came out later was even better, which I almost put that on the list instead of this. But certainly the sequel was just masterstroke of what it was.
Yeah.
Well, as a kid who enjoyed tabletop battle games like 40K, this hit on all cylinders because it was the epic war, and you get to see things from a larger scale, and that was very cool because it made sense. Yeah. That it's one thing they didn't show a lot of. You see the Battle of Hoth in just moments here and there, and few spots here and there in some of the other films, but I don't think we ever got a really great battle scene where you show just the immensity of the Empire. And
like the closest thing we got to that in the film so far was the third act of Rogue One. That's the closest
yes,
we got to that. And because he did want to do kind of a war movie out of it, and they had to kind of change it because of the needs of the story. But I do think if they gave him another crack at it and really just did something based on the concept of going through the major battles and maybe following one guy or people from both sides through a series of vignettes going through all the major battles and doing a movie based on the same kind of thing that Battlefront could do, that would be
that
a
would be
fun movie to
awesome.
watch. Yeah.
Amazing.
Gojitron gives us a nice note. Carrie Fisher got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame today, and
That's
well
excellent.
deserved it is. Very
Yeah.
cool.
About damn time.
Yeah.
So yeah, and there we have
Right face.
what I was going to say was the kind of proto, because before that the action Star Wars games were not quite as well polished, and you were saying how Episode 3 they nailed it.
Yeah.
You're playing the character, you're running around, all the Jedi powers worked really well, and you were just running around kicking ass and being a Jedi and living that fantasy, or playing that role. This game took it, or these two games took it to a new level, right?
Like it created a fantasy within the fantasy.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
basically said, what happened if we took force powers and just turned them up to 100?
11.
Well, I was going to say that, but I went like, Spinal Tap 10 to 11, but I'm saying 100. Like, this is crazy,
Exactly.
the stuff you could do. Like, you take
I never
down a
played
Star
these.
Destroyer,
Yeah.
With the
take down a
Force.
Star Destroyer with the Force and just slowly bring it down and crash it. And it really feels like you actually accomplished that.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
I love the voice acting. The actor they chose for this was a really great choice, and they gave us a character that we actually care about, and we get to watch his journey through the dark side and then possibly the other side, depending on how you play.
Yep.
It was really compelling storytelling, and it totally made sense in universe. As of course Vader would have a secret apprentice. Of course he would try to, that's the rule of two with the Sith. They're always going to be trying to do this. And man, it was just well written, and this would have made a great TV show or film.
And in fairness, there's enough material in the cutscenes that YouTubers have taken this and just cut it into like a movie. And even if you don't play video games, these two games, I would recommend you go find a video like that and watch the story.
I'd like to go check that out, but I think I'd also like to, pick up an inexpensive copy of this and spend a weekend.
You can get this on you can get this on PC and current gen consoles relatively inexpensive to this day.
And if I'm not mistaken, Hasbro's giving him a little bit of love. He's going to get an actual figure.
I pre-ordered it. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, they did it. He just came out for Vintage Collection. The Black Series is doing it too, and I'm not sure which one I'll end up with, but I'm going to get one of them at least.
In the past, Lucas insisting on like video games or side stories taking place between two movies. It's like they always do that. Like it has to take place. This one really nails it. It really works great. Because I always said, and I'll bring it up later, but. Largo's favorite Star Wars video games. Well, we only got one for you, Largo, but I know you played a lot. But it's a great one, and
so
great
good.
Game.
Everything about Shadows of the Empire was awesome, and like someone in the comments mentioned earlier, it got love in every area except a film. It was good in the stories, in the novels. It was good in the video game. It was good in the toys. I mean, it was a new toy line that was just, hey, it's a breath of fresh air in Star Wars, and everybody wanted to know who Dash Rendar was. Everybody wanted to see what was going on with this I can't remember his name now. The Dark Sun or Black Sun leader. Another lizard guy.
Shizor or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Shizor. Yeah.
But
I just it was
good.
Zsa Zsa Gabor. Yeah. And he had like fans or something, right? Yeah. But
about the only thing I didn't like about this was giving Chewbacca a crew cut when he went in disguise. It's like, really? No.
Yeah, he had the bounty hunter alter ego. I love
thing
that he's wearing a bandana. Yes.
Something really unique about this, and I don't want to touch on lightly, is the fact that from the ground up, this was designed from the beginning to be a multimedia crossover thing. Mm-hmm. They didn't do the video game and then tack all this other stuff on. They designed it from the ground up for that. And Prince Zizor, there you go. And I think they really nailed it. It was one of the few times that's actually happened, and actually they pulled it off. And
Yeah.
there's a documentary on YouTube as well. Well, I'm not sure where it actually originated, but there's a documentary about the making of that and how it all came together. It's really
Yeah.
cool.
I thought it said it somewhere in here, but yeah, it was this whole multimedia extravaganza. If they had done an animated series to accompany this,
Oh,
my God, so
that would have been
sweet.
so good.
In this art
That
style.
was great.
Oh my God, I would have
So good.
just loved it. But it was like the first, and this is the mid '90s too. So we just got like those re-releases. We didn't really have a lot of
Yeah.
good Star Wars content. You had the novels, but they didn't have any video games or toy support or anything like that.
Well,
This was all new and all great. The Outrider, what a great ship! I mean, just a cool
Yeah.
ship.
well,
All new
the
additions.
timing, the timing of it was impeccable because it came out in December of '96, and then they had all the special editions came out.
Yep.
So it kind of like you went to the movies to see the original trilogy, and then you want to see something around that time. You could
Yeah.
go buy the comic book, you could buy
Yeah.
this game, the toys, and it wasn't like a direct cross sell, but it was just a natural because that was the Star Wars game that was new and out at the time, and I
it really was
guarantee you it
cool.
boosted sales.
When you
Guarantee
found
it
out
boosted
that
sales.
that Dash Render was at the battle for on Hoth, you're like, he was there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He was there.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And I love the fact that he wasn't just a Han Solo clone. I mean, people have said that, but he's not. He's
Mhm.
his own character. He had a very unique spot in the Star Wars universe, and it fit. It fit the story. And with the N64, when that first came out, the graphics were beautiful. And, you know, I was playing Donkey Kong Country and Zelda, and then I saw this, and I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And pop this in the machine, and you're on Hoth, and I'm like, this is awesome. I lost way too many hours playing this.
So good. And
And as I was saying before the show, Lauren got me for Christmas, but it's ours now since we're together. An N64, and this is high on my list of games I want to get and
Yeah.
sit down and play with a decent controller, not the piece of shit that the N64 came with.
That's fair. It was clunky.
It still is, trust me.
So, you know, you have Star Wars video games allow you to experience every aspect of things that were cool about the movie. And one thing I'll just say right now before we go on is we didn't really do many of the flight sims, but those were excellent games. The TIE
Yeah.
Fighter,
Oh, yeah.
Starfighter,
X-Wing.
Rogue,
Yep.
X-Wing, Rogue Squadron. I lost so many hours playing Rogue Squadron. I love the
I
story.
actually-
loved the game.
I thought the TIE Fighter one was a little better than the X-Wing.
Yeah.
But that
I agree.
I-
But that's probably because you were in a TIE Fighter.
yeah,
yeah.
it was.
And
cool.
Bjorn, I think you would definitely enjoy Shadows of the
So,
Empire if you get a
honorable
chance.
mention to
Yes.
all those flight sims. But once again, what IP has all of these great aspects? You've got action games, you've got war strategy games, you've got
Mhm.
RPGs, flight sims, and they all take place in the same IP that you love. So I really like that. But when Star Wars games, came up, I can only think of one series that really, just belongs to my heart, and that is the Knights of the Old
KOTOR.
Republic. I remember the day this game came out. I
Yeah.
remember people returning it because it wasn't an action adventure game, and they thought it was.
Yeah, you had to
It is
you had to
kind of
think
a
about
turn-based,
things. Yeah.
RPG strategy, but what people didn't realize was they were putting down what was one of the best stories in the Star Wars universe ever told. And you're the main character of it, and it's got a beautiful twist. Thank God it wasn't ruined for me. So I purchased one of these kind of returned copies because I said, what's the controversy? Because there was a bit, and then it just became obviously universally loved. But you never played it. You really should. It's just such a good game.
Yeah.
But it's not just this game, So it's an RPG game. But this is the same guy that wrote the Mass Effect series. If you've ever played that, he went on to do that, and it follows a very similar type of gameplay experience. But really great. You have. I always play a hero, and I always do the right thing. But other people I know don't. Like my son, for example, I got him into it when he was like 12. I went and dug it up, and I was like, "You got to play this, kid." And he was a bastard, evil, just rotten. Uh, he had Bastilla Sean here looking all raggedy. She had veins and red eyes, and
Right.
just looking. He killed Mission. I couldn't believe it. Like,
Well,
just
other than the
evil.
role play games from West End, this was the first
Yeah,
time you got to choose to play light or dark and
yeah.
Right.
follow the consequences either way. And it was good. And I love the fact that it
And
was written at a different time in the Star Wars universe, so they had more
Totally removed
opportunities
from
to
all
tell.
of that.
Yeah,
The smartest idea anyone had in Star Wars writing was, let's just go back 4,000 years before the events of all this stuff and do whatever we want in this playground.
yeah.
and it got approved though. That's the thing is
Hmm.
I think that they had to do a hell of a pitch to make
Yeah.
that work and it not be a big deal. Special shout out to Star Wars Jedi Academy, which is more action based,
Hmm.
but did give you the opportunity to go light and dark, and you can balance
Yeah.
it. You can go heavy one way or the other. But I think that was really kind of the result. It was around the same time as this, but I have a feeling that because they're both LucasArts games,
Yeah.
they probably saw they were developing that game, saw what they're doing Knights of the Old Republic. I said, let's put some of that in there. That'd be fun.
Is that the game where the cutscene, with the cutscene that is on YouTube with the Corellian in a cowboy hat?
That is not. That is
That's
the
not.
cutscene from the MMO that came out later, which is a couple slides away, because it all takes place in that same thing. But yeah, that's a great cutscene. Yeah, the Krillian in a cowboy hat. Yes.
Why am I
Uh,
not surprised Bjorn is a dark sider? That
I
I mean, you need
I
to
don't
look no
know.
further, look no further than his avatar. That's all I'm saying.
So, absolutely love this game. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2. Eh, it improved some of the gameplay features and some of the ways that things worked, but the story wasn't as strong. But how can you follow up that? It's like, how do you go on after the original Knights of the Old Republic?
well,
So
you get a
great
guest
game,
spot on the Love Boat. Isn't
and
that where all
then
stars went to
finally,
die?
you've got the Star Wars: The Old Republic, which was released a long time later. This came out in 2011. It's a massive multiplayer online game based in the same Old Republic. This takes place about 300 years after. But I got to tell you, if you love, you know, RPGs, or if you love Star Wars games, and you don't want to do this, it's free to play. This game is free.
Nice.
You could download it for free. You could play the main character story for every class, and there's, I think, 6 different classes on Republic and Imperial side. Two of the best storylines are the Sith Inquisitor, which I actually had the pleasure when this came out of playing with my wife. We sat together. She was a Sith Inquisitor. I played a bounty hunter, which the story's not too strong. And she was just evil, man. She be, at the end of the storyline, you kind of destroy your master and take over. And it's a really cool story, but and you could play together and you could share it. But we paid for it back then, but now it's free to play, and you could play through the entire thing. And if you don't want to get into, dungeon groups or raid groups or doing any of that stuff, you could just put the game down after you finish the main character story, and you'd have a really enjoyable experience.
So it's
You know,
good. It's a good solo play.
try a Sith Inquisitor, because the way they do it is it's a lot different. There's even like a spec in that game where you play like almost like a rogue. You use like stealth and like force like invisibility, and then just like jump out of stealth and kill people. It's great. It's really fun. A lot of cool powers, a lot of cool outfits, and a lot of great ships, original design ships. One thing I was going to notice too is that on Steam you could buy for the PC Knights of the Old Republic. I think it's on sale for $3.50 until tomorrow. So if you want to
Wow.
go check
Sounds
that
about
out, yeah, I looked it up. So these are just 3 great games, and you're under $10. You could have some really amazing Star Wars experiences. And, what is it?
I like a world made of
Oh, yeah.
cardboard's wife. I love the way she thinks there. It's like, yeah, put in the cheat codes, put it on God mode, and just blast everything with a chainsaw. Why not? That's
And Will, you sold me on Old Republic. I have it set to download
Nice.
as soon as this is over.
I think you'll really enjoy it. And I think they were talking about doing a remaster of it and like improving the graphics and stuff, but I don't think they're that bad. It was pretty good. It was a pretty great game. I really enjoyed it. I want to hear how evil you get. I will say that when you take all the dark side choices and like subsequent like playthroughs, because I just don't want to go on all the side quests, because like you'll be walking from point A to point B, and some guy will be like, "I lost my dog. Can you help me find him?" And if you're light side, you're like, "Yes, sir. I'll go help you find your dog." And then you go through all this shit. You fight, monsters. You rescue the dog. You come back, and he's like, "Here's a cookie," and you're like, "That's it, really?" Oh, okay, I guess I got some light side points. If you're dark side, you walk by and he's like, "Excuse me, my dog," and you just grab his face and you smush him to the ground and you say, "Fuck you, asshole," and you keep walking, and then you go on, and then you just finish the mission and get out of that town. So it's much quicker doing the dark side stuff. A lot less crap. But yeah, it was funny because my son played it, was totally evil. My wife sat right next to me, and they give you like options, and it's like her favorite was, she's like, "Oh, before they even finish talking, they're doing their thing. She's clicking, kill them all, kill them all, kill, 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 kill." And I'm like, "Calm down, lady." Jesus Christ.
That's great.
Yeah. So a lot of fun. I mean, come on, Star Wars games are awesome. You could fly, you could action, adventure. It's all there.
Will, how is your Pazek? Are you pretty good?
Oh, deck. Yeah, was that the game that you could play, the little gambling game that you could play in the game? That was cool. It was like a mini game in there, which was really nice. I think that started in like the Final Fantasy games. They had the little kind of mini gambling games that you could do. Good distraction, keep you from the humdrum, but replayable. You could do it different ways. You get different results. Of course, with those games, you wind up with a million save files because you're like, "Okay, let me save before I talk to this guy." You guys do this in those games, and then you're like, "I'm going to tell him to F himself." And then, okay, if it doesn't turn out
See what
well,
happens.
go back.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to see what happens, because I'm branching the story here. Or do you just make a decision and plow through? I always second guess and wind up wasting time.
With Fallout, when I played that, I would just kind of let it run, and then if I totally ruined it, I'd just start over.
My son was also
fun.
a bastard in Fallout. I mean, he just, I seen this one day he was like talking to the sheriff, and I'm like, "Oh, cool." He's explaining the game to me and stuff. I think I bought it for myself, and this was about that time when they were like became good enough at video games to like exceed me. Usually they would wait, and I'd come home to a paused video game. I'm like, "What's this?" And they're like, "Dad, you got to beat this for me." And I'd have to beat a level for them. But around 10 or 11, or so, they just got better where they're like, "Give me the controller. I'm doing this," But yeah, I came home the next day, and my son's walking around wearing like the sheriff's hat. And I go, "Where'd you get the sheriff's hat? That's something you can get." And he's just quiet. I'm like, "Did you kill him and take his hat?" And he's like, "Yes."
Yeah.
I killed him. I took his hat. So it was great. Yeah.
So there are some corners of the Star Wars universe that have not been totally ruined by Disney, and it's nice to know.
Yeah.
There's still some good stuff out there. And, some of the old novels, the paperbacks, the things from the expanded universe, they're still good to go back and check out if you haven't.
And they're
or revisit.
And super accessible. You could get them relatively easy.
Yep. The Han Solo Adventures. Brian Daly, I believe, did a trilogy. Han Solo was it Star's End, or there were 3 of them, and they were all really well done. So
and they could have taken any one of them and made the Star Wars Solo movie based on
you bet.
Really, and they didn't, right? They chose to go with.
Yeah, but we're gonna try not to go into the what coulda, woulda, shoulda, because that's a whole different show. I could spend hours on all the gripes, but there are some bright spots in the universe. We just have to really dig for them. But we always have the original trilogy. We'll always have some of the expanded universe stuff that is good, and of course the great video games we can always revisit. So
I'm hoping with like the advancements in AI and like how easy, or maybe like that maybe someone go back and like maybe have AI generate like animated stories or movies based on some of the books and stuff like that. Like Disney or Lucas will never do, like a fanfic kind of thing, because I'd just love to see them.
And the Epic Badger wants to know, when are we going to talk about the N64 and Shadows Empire and Rogue Squadron?
We did talk about them, and they are awesome.
He was driving. So
yeah.
Before we wrap up tonight, let's put a spotlight on our guest. What kind of swag you got there on the table, buddy?
Yeah, you got some.
Well, I took about a half hour before the show, and I dug out every packaged Star Wars figure I could find out of all my bins that are over here.
Nice.
For those of you that don't know, we recently moved house, and this will be my first opportunity to display my toys. So everything's still in bins. We got to build shelves and everything. But in the meantime, this is what I found. I started off with Vintage Collection 3 3/4 scale. So I have a bunch of Empire Strikes Back stuff. So I have a bunch of Bespin guards. I've got Darth Vader, R2-D2, C-3PO, Bespin Luke, Bespin Leia, Lobot, and then a random Return of the Jedi Han, because I bought him out of spite because I don't want to spend aftermarket prices on Bespin Han at this point, but I probably will this weekend. I also have this Power of the Force Obi-Wan Kenobi that Will graciously donated to me, which is great. I love having him. I wanted him to be front and center because that was a really cool thing that he did. But I had sworn off Black Series for a long time, but now I have core characters. I've got a great Darth Vader, a great Boba Fett. I've also got Lando, Han, Leia, Luke, Chewie. I've got a C-3PO, and then I've got an R2-D2 on the way. So these are going to be like marquee characters I display in the living room, and these will be part of a diorama that I'll eventually, hopefully, get put together.
Cool.
So thank you for giving me that second. So I'm like, I spent a lot of time getting this stuff out. I'm not going to talk about these. I'm going to feel like a piece of shit. Yeah.
Ted Millett says, I just paid the same amount for the Trooper and the Speeder Bike Vintage Collection as I did for the Black Series.
I saw that at Target, and
Oof.
It was like $45 or something, right? I think, or 40.
That's crazy.
And I wanted it, but I was like, I've got Power of the Force one still boxed up somewhere. I'll just keep it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with Power of the Force stuff. Most of the time, you're going to be okay. But because these were still available at retail price, I just said, let's go. I did spend a little bit more for a Bespin Luke. And I think I got a Han Solo. He's floating around here somewhere. I know I got one just recently. I know I did. I just don't know where I put him. But I did get the C-3PO as well. Nice. Which, again, those are...
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I don't know why the droids.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
He said it's tiny. So they change. Yeah. It's not like the same scale as they were. That sucks.
Screw that, man. Screw that crap, man.
A good sideline. I got to go with Goji on this one. It is the Microverse, because that's where the Micronauts come from. It's not the Quantum Realm.
Before anyone talks any trash about this hat, I got it for free.
Okay.
And I haven't seen the movie yet, so I don't have an opinion yet.
Cool hat.
Fair enough.
Speaking of movies, everyone head over to Amazon and check out Mr. Grindhead Jim.
Oh yeah.
Movie now available on Amazon.
Very cool.
That's true. Yeah, the whole reason I moved to DFW was to be in that movie, and we finally are fulfilling all the Kickstarter stuff, so we were contractually okay to move forward with digital distribution, and Amazon said, yeah.
And
so
it's
we're allowed to sell it there.
Reasonably priced. I think the rental is like
$2.
$2, and to buy it is only like $5.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, for those of us who prefer physical media, I ordered a copy of the Blu-ray, so...
It's coming.
Nice.
It's coming.
But yeah, it's a great movie. Jim is not. He's a great actor because he's not Jim in it.
That's right.
Definitely not.
He's another character. What is your character's name in the movie? I'm sorry.
His name is Roy. And
Roy, yes, Roy is a character, and he is not Grindhead Jim, which is great. Sometimes you see somebody in a movie, and you're like, "Hey, you're just doing you on film," But no, Jim is a great actor. Because he is nothing like himself. It took me I had to adjust for like the first couple scenes he was in, because I'm like, you're not used to Jim behaving like Roy. Right?
Right.
You're being such a Roy.
Oh, you wait. I have been given some inside baseball on where that character may or may not be going in the lore, and when you see that
Like,
iteration of that character,
yeah.
um,
Don't want to spoil nothing, guys.
I'm just
but
gonna say,
you
I'm
want
just
to
gonna
see
say,
it.
if he comes back, it'll be even further away from who I am. So
Nice.
it's good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. Once it gets wider distribution, we may have to do a BCs and baddies just about Roy because he's such a
Yeah.
good man.
He is. He really is.
he's a jerk off, man.
Yeah.
I hate him.
Poor
And
Goji. He
I hear it's fun playing a villain, though, right? Like,
Oh
yeah.
man, they talk about chewing the scenery. Like I'm not chewing
Yeah.
the scenery. I'm having a feast. It's fun. Oh, it's fun.
So Goji ordered a second set of the original 12 retro collection. Tax and shipping, $83.
Oh.
Good grief. They didn't even buy him dinner first.
No,
That is
Yeah.
as the kids say, miss me with that shit.
Oof.
that
No.
is the dark side at play.
Yes. It really is. And yeah, just horrendous.
Muy horrible.
Indeed. Well, we're at the hour mark, kids. You want to keep going and just wax eloquent, or you want to play it out?
It's up to you,
I've
boys.
said everything I got to say about this stuff, man. I blew my load on my Star Wars toys, talking about some video games. I'm good.
Indeed. Well, anything coming up with Grindhead Jim you want to plug?
Every week you can catch us on Mondays for Toy Grinds Live. It's typically an hour to an hour and a half show. We do every single Monday live right from this room. We talk about pre-orders, news, overpriced statues, and whatever's on my mind at the time. As soon as I get the room set up, I'm going to be doing videos on just about everything in my collection. And one of the first things I want to do a feature on is the Hasbro reissue of the Kenner Real Ghostbusters, that I have the complete set of.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
we'll be doing some
Looking
stuff
forward
here
to that.
We're doing something in the relatively near future, so
Very
keep an eye
cool.
out.
And usually within 15 minutes after that, we'll either be doing the AF3 or BCs and Baddies. This week,
That's right.
it's BCs and Baddies with Gojitron. We're doing some Hammer time. It's Hammer Horror. Good stuff.
Hammer Horror, man.
Always a good time.
I'm gonna just to preface all that. There's a movie that was called the Horror of Death, which is AKA also known as Asphyx, my favorite Hammer horror film, about trapping a soul in this like little cage.
Oh, good grief.
It's so good. Check it out if you haven't, guys.
I'll put it on my list. We stuck with more of the classic monsters, but that is
Right.
Hammer is such a rabbit hole. We could do several shows on that.
Oh yeah,
that'll be our Monday show.
And if you have trouble finding it, hit up your boy.
Indeed. Yes, when it comes to esoteric horror films, Grindhead does have great knowledge, so that's always fun.
Yes.
And ringing endorsement from Goji. Watch Toy Grinds live every Monday. See the boxes disappear and the toys appear. It will be a progression over the next few months, I'm sure.
It's going to be great.
I hope so.
I got to say, I'm so happy for you to be in your new place and, on your engagement.
You couldn't go a whole show without saying
Oh,
Laser
geez.
Sharks, could you, Bjorn?
I for one, couldn't be happier for you, Grindhead, and I look forward to the journey and seeing how this thing unfolds. So that's great.
Appreciate that, man.
It will be very cool to watch how you put everything together, and we'll need a room tour at some point. Got to see that.
Yeah, that's definitely going to happen. And thanks to the Snake Mountain pre-order screenshots, giving the exact dimensions of how high that peak goes, I know exactly how high I need to make some of my shelves go. I'm like, okay, perfect. Now I know.
Nice.
So yeah. I'm super stoked about it. So it's going to be good, and it'll be something that not only are we going to do, you're going to see the progression live. We're going to be doing videos about it. I have a whole video I'm going to be making very shortly about the move process, getting from Oregon to here with Lauren and everything else. So I can't promise when that'll see the light of day, but I've already got the timeline ready.
Very nice.
So.
Will, you got anything cooking in the Wilhelm's workshop?
Not really. No, like I said before, I'm just a jerk with some toys, and I like to talk to you guys. So, think that I've got a lot of things I'd like to do. I just don't have enough time to do them. So,
Indeed. But someday, when you get around to it, it's going to be cool. And Laser Shark, Majestic Tiger, they're both good. They're both good.
All right. And Deniscopter just subscribed. Hey,
Yeah,
cool.
it says so right on my screen.
Awesome.
There you go. Enjoy.
Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah, and same to you, Lauren. Glad you're having a good time wherever you are. I'm sorry you couldn't
Lauren's
make it for the show.
reaction to Bill's magic trick.
Yeah.
Priceless. I did a
mind blown.
Oh, you should have. I wish you could have been in the room. She was like, it was so good.
Oh my God.
It's so good.
We made my day. That was so funny.
Only a piece of business I want to mention so I don't forget. Our buddy Stu over at Universal Collector will be interviewing moi on Saturday. So I'll be hanging out with him and talking about getting into toys as a tyke and, all that good stuff. So check us out. I'll put a note in the community tab. And I think that's about all we got going right now. I don't know. We're juggling a lot of things right now. There's always something cooking. So just stay tuned to Grindhead and Largo and see what pops up because you never know.
That's right.
But it's been fun hanging. I'm glad we finally got the Grindhead back. It's always fun to hang, and it was an excuse. I'm not a huge May the 4th fellow, but
sure,
it's a nice appetizer to Cinco de Mayo. So it's all good.
Any excuse to hang out with you guys and talk about the things we like.
Yeah,
I'm there,
and I'm going to put you on Front Street while you're here live in front of a rooster. I need you in the infinite playlist, man. I gotta have a playlist from the Grindhead because I know it's going to be very eclectic and cool. So sometime in the near future. All right,
we can do that.
You heard it here first, kids. Wilhelm, anything else, buddy, before we head out for the night?
We're good. I hope everyone has a great day and a great week, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.
Yep. Everybody have a good one. Peace out.